My dear friends, the first reading takes me back to the heart of night, for it was sung towards the end of the long midnight office. In the Carthusian life, the office of vigils, matins, is at midnight, and they break the sleep for that. But different from other orders, they actually have, after a pause, when the lay brothers go out, Lauds. So Lauds, his morning prayer, is sung still in the heart of night, before, therefore, the sun rises. And on solemn occasions, the Benedictus, which celebrates the rising sun, has incense. And then they have, at dawn, the office of prime. Now, this reading was the one that was chanted on ferial days, and I would like to take you to the heart of the monastic night. Nox precessit dies autem appropinquavit, and so on. The night is far advanced, the day is at hand. Let us therefore lay aside the works of darkness and put on the armour of light. Only last week I was in the heart of the monastic night. The mother prioress of this good monastery in Holland, where I was, knew that I got up anyway in the heart of night. And so she more than once came up to me before Compline and hinted it would be a great help if actually they could use that fact, because she herself had had an operation and wanted rest, and therefore it's always a help to have an extra lamp, a human lamp, lit for 1 hour in the night. So I gladly undertook that. And it's actually quite quaint. It's like in a relay race. They pass on the baton from one to the other, and they have a whole operation for doing that. I was told how it was actually done. It's quite intriguing. But when it came to me, I was at the other end of the grill, and then a nun would poke her nose out of the grill almost and see, making sure there was a human being there, and so it would go on. And then the next nun, an hour later, coming along, would see, yes, and make herself known, so she was taking on the baton. Now, what happens then when one is in the heart of night, before the Blessed Sacrament exposed, in a place of complete and utter peace, where one hears the sound of silence, where one has a whole army of hidden angels adoring, in the company also of these sleeping angels who give their whole life to adoring, one sees what is the mystery of night. And that's where I want to land. What happens at night. In Rome, I was living in a red light area when a student. It meant that right in front of the house and all over the area, there were posh prostitutes. They could actually choose their clients. Anyway, that was all happening in the hours of night, way into the night, and one couldn't but think of all that dark world. Indeed, one morning they found the body of one of them. She had died in the course of the night. They thought it was murder. It wasn't actually, it was probably the heart that gave in, possibly as a result of drugs. She was only 32, a Colombian. And this was the world just in front of our door and in the area. The Roman night, along with much prayer, for nowhere on earth will you find such a density of priests and therefore masses and sacraments and nuns to boot. It's all in a very small area. There's a huge concentration of prayer, grace and sacraments in that part of Rome. And then, of course, this other side. But I'm afraid that's actually the situation now in a good part of our world, in one form or another. Satan, darkness in the hours of dark. What goes on in the hours of dark? And not just when it comes to the brothels of this world, but the brothels can be right at home. It can be actually one's husband in a virtual brothel, gazing for hours on end on someone else's body. It's all virtual adultery, and it's out there more than we think. Respectable people just Google and stay Googling on you-know-what. Dark. Dark. And then As I've told you before, we know what happens at 3 a.m. That's when they have the hour of unmercy. That's when satanic rites take place, abusing horribly the Blessed Sacrament, which they always get hold of. It's always disappearing from our churches on a regular basis. You have to have a certain number by a deadline every month. And this is what they're up to. So it doesn't become a surprise that also at that time people get mega blues. And what happens? Suicide. All alone, no one there, perhaps not always deliberate, but nevertheless, that extra bit of drug, the overdose, which then makes the soul wake up, not on this side, but on the other side of the barrier. Eternity and not time, only no coming back. How many this night actually did that? An apostulant I was helping there in the monastery just told me in one conversation that in Holland there is 1 suicide a day. It's a lot, 1 a day. And multiply that by all the countries of Europe and indeed the world, especially the civilized world actually, so-called, it's a lot of victories for the power of the underworld. All this then is what happens at night. And the Lord sometimes wakes us up, even when we hadn't meant to wake up. How many devout souls are tapped on their shoulder by their guardian angel at 3 in the night? Is it your experience? Wake up and be lit. You are too a beacon in that dark night, where Satan just wants to be alone without the interference of angels, human or angelic. What I want to say is this, my friends. We too can mess up our night. It's been a great victory for Old Nick over the Christian world that even devout souls no longer give the night to God. With a few exceptions, notable exceptions. A lot of Christian nights are eaten up on this side of midnight, so the other side is never used. Just get up in time for work. Bypass that virgin moment which makes all the difference. It makes a huge difference, my friends, if one has an hour of utter contact and intimacy with the one that we're serving, or not, before the rest happens. That is prime time, and the devil knows it full well. Because the psychology of watching either the Gogglebox or the Googlebox is this. It's so powerful and invasive that we don't actually notice time going. There we are. We meant to see something specific, and 3 hours later, we're still there. Woo! Look at this coming up in the margin. It says even recommended for you. And there we are. 1 more half hour. Ooh, and another one. And another half hour. And so it is that virtual contemplation has taken place of the eyeball to eyeball with the one who rules the world.
Three sonnets written in Rome while living in the red light area where we were in the Generalate, which was the Norbertine College as well. The prostitutes. Oh, lonely ones, who walk with many men into a heat so cold that naught can melt or touch or reach aught in the hidden den of hard iniquity, of hearts unfelt amid the feel of all. O little ones, much used to fill with streams of unthought sense, where truth with gesture copulated runs no more. A nearness holds a distance dense. Where do you lie when you must lie alone, with thoughts unpierced, with moments not yet sold to gazes all of greed that feed a stone? Again, again, in this familiar hold. And do you feel, when held by oft a clutch, for but a little meaning in a touch? Murder? One of the prostitutes was murdered last night near the house, said the rector. When there is darkness, man moves not alone, but 'neath the moon a hand unseen draws on to acts of deeper black, wherein the groan of unprepared pain is quickly gone into the great unknown, where none shall see or hear or touch again what stirs no more the hungered body and the gilded plea for favours, where shared favours went before. O sadness doubly deep, to peep at these our flesh and blood, that open where no love can enter in, or with a touch appease the gaping of the all that man can move. This is to sigh that some can give too much, for more can travel 'neath a gentler touch. Bouquet amid condoms. It seems that the 32-year-old Colombian actually died of a heart attack, possibly drug-related. There was a bouquet this morning where her body had been. A flower for but a little soul that went without a flurry to the hidden land, whence all have come with numbered moments lent by hands unseen. O last, O longest stand into the night, wherein a heavy work is done beneath the moon. Too soon the end of this great task unfinished did here lurk, and this last act of wanting fast unbend. Oh, little while that held a long, long age, short moments that the aeons opened wide. What chapters of what faults lie on this page, now closed forever, where long memories hide? What little child lies now where thou dost lie, alone, alone, beneath a lonely sky?